緑の5本指飛ぶ葉飛ぶ日赤目のだるまのおじきどまぐれ気質なハスラー坊主無敵の3本マイクブル MC
What's my name?
凄腕 DJ マスターキー
Before we get here to this sound, we have to understand the evolution of the Japanese hip-hop sound. We have to listen and understand how they got here. And to do that, we have to go all the way back.
We're in the 80s, and to give some context, the music sounded like this. And right at the beginning of this decade, in 1981, Japan released its first hip-hop track. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it's not good. DJing though was doing fine. Kind of. There are a lot of DJs that are important to the history of the hip-hop scene. But I'll focus on these four. Starting with Hiroshi Fujiwara. He is debatably the most important person in Japanese hip-hop. Not just the music, but streetwear as well. He inspired an entire generation of people in Japan to follow his path, including one dude. And this one guy happened to be so similar to Hiroshi that he would be nicknamed Hiroshi Fujiwara Nigo. But before any of that happened, back in 1982, Hiroshi would go between Tokyo and New York, and he was exposed to the hip-hop scene of the 80s. So you have Run DMC, Beastie Boys, LL Cool J, Grandmaster Flash, and you know, the classics. So when he came back to Japan with records that no one else had, he started changing the club scene and the music scene forever. At the same time, in 1982, DJ Yutaka would also go to New York and be exposed to hip-hop. And he brought that culture right back home, DJing, producing, and holding events, eventually becoming the chairman of the executive committee of the largest hip-hop block party in Japan. Which is actually a good time to bring up another important figure that wasn't a DJ. Crazy A. Crazy A was actually the founder of that block party. But that doesn't take place for another few years. Instead, the other reason he's so important in this story is that his career began in 1983 as a b-boy. But he wasn't just any other b-boy. He's considered as the first b-boy of Japan, eventually being the leader of Rocksteady Crew Japan, the Japanese branch of Rocksteady Crew, debatably the most famous and influential b-boy crew of all time. My favorite figure during this time, though, is another man that holds the title of being the first in Japan.
Konnichiwa, Dr. Yan desu.
He's known for multiple things, but his first title in Japan is as Japan's first professional steel pan player. A highly coveted title, of course, but he's also known as Japan's first hip-hop producer. And the crazy thing is that that's not even the thing he's most remembered for at this point. His most remembered thing is a project he made called Doopy Time. Doopy Time is a masterpiece, one of my top 5 albums of all time. Not hip-hop whatsoever. But he's such an interesting guy in Japanese music history, and I just hope that he's not forgotten to time. But yeah, Doopy Time, oh my god, it's so good. It's genuinely like a movie, but in sound. It's beautiful. Talking about movies though, we do have to talk about Wild Style. Wild Style was also pivotal in bringing hip-hop into Japan, probably on the same level as Hiroshi Fujiwara. It was 1983 when Wild Style opened in Shinjuku's Milanoza Theater, with just a few people in attendance. It was an American-produced movie that captured the essence of hip-hop. So graffiti, breaking, and rap. Something very few people in Japan even knew existed. But one of the few people in attendance that day just happened to be a young DJ Crush. It wouldn't be crazy to say that he'd be the most famous DJ to come from Japan. But that will be later in the 90s. I'm getting ahead of myself. I need to get back to 1984. This was how hip-hop was sounding like. We're skipping that, ignore that. We're skipping to 86. See, this is where it really starts sounding like hip-hop. It has the old flow to it, and the instrumental, the beat's actually really good. I like it a lot. You see, this era of Japanese hip-hop had a very upbeat sound to it. No, not even just hip-hop, but Japanese music overall was sounding real happy, which makes sense. It is the peak of Japanese economic bubble, and culturally as well, this was where it practically was at its top. Then the economic bubble popped. After the bubble burst, the optimism that Japan had was just gone, and hip-hop followed. It started to sound a lot darker, and it became much more serious, with a lot of songs covering societal issues and the future's bleakness. Here, we enter Japan's lost decade, but also the golden age of Japanese hip-hop. In 1989, Rhyme Style formed. In 1990, Shadara debuted with Shadara Gaisaku, and East End were also formed. Takagi debuted in 1991, You The Rock debuted in 1992, and in 1993, some really important things happened. First, King Ghidorah and Shaka Zombie formed. Secondly, Bape was founded by Nigo, who was inspired by Hiroshi Fujiwara. But yeah, Nigo will be even more important later. Thirdly, ECD dropped Walk This Way. ECD was not the first rapper. He wasn't the most famous either. But he represented the conscious side of rap, with tracks like Reishisto and Materia de Love, talking about racism and materialistic love. But yeah, my favorite track off of this is ECD no Tokyo te ii machi da na. Here he talks about how Tokyo might be done for. Maybe all of Japan was done for, or maybe the entire world, but this part?
そんなことないって言ってくれよベイビーちゃん言ってくれよベイビーちゃんそんなことないって言ってくれよベイビーちゃん言ってくれよ言ってくれよベイビーちゃん
But his story doesn't end here. He'd eventually play a huge role in one of Japanese hip-hop's most legendary events. But with all of these people and so many others contributing to the hip-hop scene, in 1994, Japan got its first hip-hop hit single, Konya wa Boogie Back. Shadara were the first group to break into the mainstream with this song. But they did it with the help of a familiar name. Kenji Ozawa one half of Flipper's guitar, the godfathers of Shibuya. Talking of Shibuya, also in 94, one of my favorite groups dropped their debut album.
To the party and crowd is we're kicking it loud. To the party and crowd is we're kicking it loud. To the party and crowd is we're kicking it loud. To the party and crowd is we're kicking it loud. To the party and crowd is we're kicking.
I'm not gonna lie, it's not a good album, but you just gotta feel, you gotta listen to it. I love their energy and just straight goofiness, and the story of how this group even got together is just insane. The two men rapping are Matsumoto Hitoshi and Hamada Masanori. And if you don't know who they are, you might recognize them from this. So how in the world did these two end up forming a rap group? I don't know, but look, the mixture of just really good production and whatever lyrics these are, it just made something that doesn't make any sense and it shouldn't work, but it just does. Oh my god, it's so good. Anyways, let's get back on track. After Konyo Boogie Baku, another song hit the mainstream as well. East End would team up with idol Yuri Ichi and form East End Yuri, and Dayone would end up being the first Japanese hip-hop song to hit 1 million in sales. And fun fact, Yuri would also end up marrying Nigel in 1999, then divorce in 2002. But you know what? Fun fact nevertheless.
Gonna groove and move your body to the music.
So, in 95, Rip Slime indie debuted with Lips Rhyme, and a few months later, King Ghidorah dropped a debut album, Sorakara no Chikara, which is one of the most important albums in Japanese hip-hop. And yeah, you have to listen to it. My favorite tracks are Mima wa Soul, Sorakara no Chikara Part 2, and this one I'm not even gonna try to pronounce. That one's just too long, but it's great. Shadara Paul would also release Fifth Wheel to the Couch, another classic album. They were really killing it early on. But from this album, Summer Jam 95 is the track that's remembered the most. It has a relaxed and just makes you feel like you're just jamming in the summer of 95. And in that same year, a rap group returned from New York to Japan after years and just moved the entire hip-hop scene with one song. Ningen Hatsudensho by Buddha Brand is probably the most legendary song in Japanese hip-hop. It's like Bohemian Rhapsody. It's like Stairway to Heaven. It's on that level of just fame and status. It's up there. That is how important this song is to the Japanese hip-hop scene. This song does have some questionable bars though. And that's the censored version. Originally it was Chugakusei no Pussy. I don't know how Shogak, I'm not even gonna question it. It's a good song. Nips, Dev Large, CQ, and DJ Master Key. They helped push new sounds and rhyming styles, you know, mixing English and Japanese so well together. I don't think anyone's ever done it as well as Dev Large. Since Dev Large. It's just so good. Oh my god. And the other tracks too. Check out the discography. Amazing. Genuinely amazing. And in that same year, Lampai released Shogun, another one of Japanese hip-hop's legendary songs. Yeah, this is on the same level as 人間発電所. This is so, oh my god, so many icons took the mic on this one track. Dev Large from Voodoo Brand, You The Rock, Zebra from King Ghidorah, and everyone from Lampai. This is, without a doubt, my favorite Japanese hip-hop track. Like, Reno's voice? Ooh, it's so distinct. And You The Rock, oh my god.
見開いてよく見ろ決める耳かぽちって聞けよてめえ見開いてよく見ろ決める耳かぽちって聞けよ
And Dev Large, again, just the smoothness, the suaveness he has. Oh, vicious. And the music video, my god, it just speaks for itself. I genuinely believe this is the best package for a Japanese hip-hop. Anything. But do you know what the crazy thing is? All of this from 1981 to 1995 is the preamble for 1996. An event that still lives in infamy till this day. On December 6th, 1996, Parappa the Rapper released on PlayStation.
Turn and pose. Come on now, why don't you follow my words because we're almost done. I'll make it easier first. I wanna see if you wanna see what it means to be the man with a master plan. Are you the man now?
I'm not even joking, but I guess the other important event was Shaka Zombie, Dimestall, Soul Scream, King Ghidorah, You The Rock, Lampai, Buddha Brand, and organized by ECD. This is, without a doubt, the peak of Japanese hip-hop. Over 30 rappers, so many of them being all-time legends and some of the most revered rappers of all time in one night. That's insane. That's genuinely insane. That's, look, Woodstock, Live Aid, Sampin Camp. That's how legendary this event is. Again, yeah, this was the peak of 90s Japanese hip-hop. No, not even. This is the peak of Japanese hip-hop. Point blank. The genre might have peaked, but it's not slowing down quite yet. In 1997, Ozorosaurus debuted, and Zebra would finally solo debut, starting a legendary career separate from King Ghidorah. This is that Beyonce moment for him. But Soul Scream also released this track, Tokyo. This is one of my favorite tracks in Japanese hip-hop. Like, look, if you listen to this track while walking through the streets of Tokyo at night, you feel like you own the city. This is such just an anthem for Tokyo. It's great. also in 97, the first B-Boy Park would be held in Yoyogi Park in Shibuya, founded by Crazy A. In 98, Enflow Indie debuted with The Way We Were. In 1999, Nobody Knows is formed. But the crowning achievement of this year was the first hip-hop song to top the Oricon charts. Grateful Days by Dragon Ash, featuring Akko and Zebra. And the album it came off of, Viva la Revolucion, also became the first hip-hop album to reach number 1. But yeah, after only discovering it 20 years ago, after experimenting with how to even squeeze the Japanese language to fit into this rap rhythm and flow, after evolving its production from beeps and boops into something so fleshed out and otherworldly, Japanese hip-hop was finally, undeniably, in the mainstream. But this wasn't the time to slow down. This is the 2000s, and Japan entered the digital age.
Hello!
I'm not gonna lie, nothing really notable happened from like 2000 to 2002. So we're skipping straight to 2003.
That's nice.
In 2003, Harukari, which was produced and put together by Rip Slime, released Harukari Bacon. What makes this album stand out are two things. First, it's led by two female MCs, Haruka and Yukari. So they talk about and just cover things that other MCs who are predominantly men don't rap about. The other thing that makes this album stand out to me is its mix of hip-hop and shibuyake. It's such just nice and fun album to listen to. It's a forgotten part of Japanese hip-hop, but it deserves so much more attention. It's such a good album. I love this album. It's one of my favorite albums of all time. Definitely check this one out. In that same year, Nujabes released his debut album, Metaphorical Music, starting the wave of lo-fi hip-hop. Kind of. There are a lot of debates about who really started lo-fi hip-hop, but most people agree that J Dilla and Nujabes are the two people who quote-unquote founded lo-fi hip-hop. If you even consider them to be lo-fi hip-hop in the first place, it can be a long conversation, but either ways, he made music that captivated the world. He then continued in 2004, working on the Samurai Champloo soundtrack, an anime soundtrack that is held in high regards till this day. Especially Battle Cry, which features Shingo 2, another rapper who mixes English and Japanese so well. It's just good. Nujabes was really making a sound of his own and pushing the soundscape of not just Japanese hip-hop, but hip-hop overall. Mixing hip-hop with jazz, orchestral, and just so many other genres. It really does suck that we never got to see where his sound would go next. Nujabes died at the age of 36, just a few years later in 2010, before lo-fi hip-hop could really explode in popularity and really see what he had to offer to the world.
Some live, some die in the name of the samurai.
Yeah, so next, the formation of This is the next legendary event in Japanese hip-hop. M-Flow's Verbal, Rip Slime's Ilmari and Rosie, Wise, and the DJ Nigo. They joined forces to create the most star-studded Japanese hip-hop group of all time. This was genuinely insane. It was led by Nigo, and with his connections with the international music scene from Bape, they worked with some of 2000's biggest talents. Production from Cornelius, the other half of Flipper's guitar, Daft Punk, French house music legends, the Neptunes, 2000's hitmakers. They even worked with US hip hop's biggest names like Kanye, Jay-Z, Pharrell, Busta Rhymes, Big Sean. And that's not even to forget the work on the Tokyo Drift soundtrack. They were genuinely just the group of this era. Another integral part of 2000 Japanese hip-hop was Creva and his album I, Jibun Haku, becoming the first solo rapper to reach #1 in the Oricon Weekly charts in 2006. Creva was a renowned rapper, winning the MC battles at B-Boy Park, and he won it 3 times in a row from 1999 to 2001. He was absolutely the king of battle rap. He's as objectively as good as a rapper you can get on paper. He has the accolades, the notoriety, the sales, but his actual music all respects to him. He is a legend and a milestone in Japanese hip-hop. I just don't understand it, but that was in the mainstream side. If we take a look at the underground digital side, there was one man making some big noise. Noriaki. Noriaki is a character for sure. You could describe his music as goofy, peculiar, erratic, or just straight up bad, but I think it's true to himself and simply authentic. Noriaki rapped against the negative image of hip-hop, and he championed for true self-expression. The one thing he rapped about specifically was authenticity. So much that he name drops both Zebra and Eminem and calls them... I don't know if he was being genuine when he said that, but this does bring up a good point about Japanese hip-hop that I haven't mentioned yet. Can Japanese hip-hop be authentic?
Hell no. You know what I'm saying?
Look, it's a genuinely hard question to answer, but it's an interesting one. I mean, what is Japanese hip-hop in the first place? And where should Japanese hip-hop go from this point? And where is it heading now? So those are questions for another time on the current state of Japanese hip-hop.
Cider.